Well, welcome viewers. Senator Bragg's upload, "No Wonder We Can't Build Houses," cuts into the deeper national contradiction. Australia keeps speaking about a housing crisis while allowing red tape, block supply, planning analysis, construction costs and political delay to suffocate the very people who are meant to build the homes. Viewers, the issue is not only affordability. The issue is whether Australia still has the moral, economic and administrative discipline to let builders build, families settle, and younger people and young Australians believe home ownership is still possible.
Just want to ask a couple of questions then, Senator Canavan, that's all right, Chair.
Yes, of course.
So just wanted to clarify, so effectively there's no KPI set for these reforms, is that right?
My recollection, which officials can help me out with, is that once the EPA is established, there will be KPIs for it.
Okay, so there's no KPIs for reforms which are due to... So the reforms are due to start next year, right?
Well, some of them have started this year. They've already started.
But the bilaterals and the regulations haven't been made.
Correct.
So the bulk of it starts next year, right?
No. All of the amendments that we passed last year will commence on the 1st of December. Will commence on the 1st of December if they're not proclaimed beforehand, and some have already been proclaimed.
I understand that from a technical sense, but I mean, in an operational sense, isn't the point of these reforms to remove duplication amongst other things? So the whole point of accrediting with the states is to have one approval.
Yeah, well, that is one aspect of the reforms.
That happens next year, right?
It most likely, depending when we finalise the bilaterals.
Okay.
But there are other reforms that have started. We're consulting already on regional plans. I know your focus has mainly been the bilaterals, but there are a range of other reforms that are starting sooner than that.
And what about the offset calculator? Where's that up to?
It's in development at the moment.
Who's doing it?
We're doing it in-house in the department.
And when will it be finished?
I'll have to take that on notice. I don't think we have an exact completion, but before the reforms commence.
But does that need any regulatory basis, or is that just something you can just have on your website type thing?
So, Senator, there's two calculators that are being developed. There's the offset calculator for proponents if they're delivering an offset themselves. So that's the calculator that my colleague Mr Gaddis referred to earlier. And then there is a second calculator that's being developed for the restoration contributions holder. So that's where proponents are paying into a fund to deliver an offset. So there are charging arrangements that are regulatory that are attached to that. Some of those were passed with the legislation themselves. So the framework to develop the charging requirements went through with the passage of the bills last year. And then with any kind of Australian government charging arrangement, we'd be consulting on the methodology and the calculator, and that would be finalised in regulations.
Okay. I mean, do you think it would be like one tree for one tree?
I think it's a lot more complicated than that, Senator.
But why does it have to be so complicated? This is my question about this whole area.
It depends on the nature of...
It's almost as if people revel in making it more complex than it needs to be.
No, quite the contrary. Yeah. Again, I refer you to the numerous comments from stakeholders saying that they think this new system will be better. Okay. But the current offset system is not as simplistic as one tree for one tree, and so I doubt the new system would be that simplistic either.
Well, let's just say someone smarter than me wants to build some houses. Okay.
It's hard to imagine, but I'll try.
Hard to imagine. Well, there's many people that are much more intelligent and better looking and all sorts of things, I'm sure. But so let's just say, Joe Bloggs comes along. Joe Bloggs, he wants to build some houses. There's a few trees there. There's 50 trees there.
What kind of trees?
They're old eucalyptus trees.
That's actually an important question, because it depends whether the proposed activity is likely to have a significant impact on a nationally protected matter. Some trees can be cleared to your heart's content, some can't.
Well, let's just say it's a gum tree. It's a sort of tree that is all over Australia, and it's actually been taken all over the world. When you see gum trees in other countries like in Greece and Israel, whatever. I'm not sure where you've been. Probably some.
I've never travelled to either of those countries.
Well, I'm sure you've been to lots of fancy places. On your ministerial jet?
Unfortunately not.
Anyway, Joe Bloggs wants to build some houses. There's 50 gum trees. Does he have to build or plant 50 new gum trees somewhere else to build the houses?
Well,
these are sort of practical, simple questions people want to get answers.
Sure. So I'll hand to the officials to give you a hypothetical. Well, I mean, it is hypothetical, and there are dangers in talking hypothetical.
No, 50 trees, 50 trees.
I'm an accommodating kind of person, and we'll do our best to answer.
Senator, it's not just... I mean, if we're talking about
50 gum trees.
50 gum trees.
Yep.
It will depend. Are those 50 gum trees breeding habitat for a protected matter? Are they habitat for a migratory species?
Just old gum trees. There's nothing in them.
But I'm saying those things.
They're rusted up.
So if there's no significant impact on a matter of national environmental significance,
They're regular.
then, sorry, pardon, I couldn't.
There's not even a bird flying past it in the last couple of months.
So I think, sorry, I might take back to first principles. The calculation is on the nature of the impact. So if there's no impact, there's no offset required.
Okay.
Can I just... It's an important point.
Yeah.
If Joe Bloggs, as you say, if their housing development is proposed for an area where the trees they would need to remove are not a nationally protected matter because they're not an endangered kind of tree and they're not habitat for a threatened species,
They can just do it.
then they don't even need a Commonwealth assessment or approval.
Okay, but what if there is a protected bird that flew past there recently, or maybe in the last few decades, that was sighted by someone, and it's been alleged that this old rusted gum tree has a special bird near it?
Well, that's when it potentially...
That'd be black cockatoos.
If it is likely, yeah, black cockatoos in WA, big issue. If an activity is likely to have a significant impact on a threatened species, whether it be a bird, a tree, or whatever, well, that's another example. Yep, that's another example of nationally protected matters. Then it would require an EPBC assessment and approval.
Okay.
In really short terms, the proponent would be required to avoid impacting that threatened species,
Right.
potentially by chopping down trees in some areas and not others. They would need to minimise the impact, and if there were still going to be residual impacts, that's when they would need to find offsets, and that's where the system works out what the appropriate offset is.
So let's assume that they're allowed to, let's say it's a protected matter, but they get the approval to take down the old gum trees with the special lizard on it, whatever it is. They have to plant 50 new trees.
Well, every case is going to be different, and it's not simply cut down 50 trees, plant 50 trees.
Why?
Because you
want to make it more complicated.
No, because to restore, I don't know how to explain this to you. To restore,
It's actually exactly
no,
this is the problem.
I don't know how to explain it to you because you don't understand the concept of protecting the environment.
You're the minister administering the law. Explain it to us.
I don't know how to explain it.
All right, senators, come to order.
not stupid.
No, that's all of you. We will do this by question and answer. One questioner to the minister. Let's continue in that way. Senator Bragg.
Question is, if I take down 50 trees, do I have to plant 50 new trees?
I'll let the department give you an answer.
Well, you can't answer now.
I don't, it's really hard to communicate
Yeah, I know,
to people
you
who
can't.
don't believe or care about the environment.
I do care about the environment.
concept of protecting the environment. That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to
we're just
explain
trying
it
to
in terms you might
grappling now.
understand.
You're grappling.
Senator Henderson.
If you chop down 50 trees here, that may have a bigger environmental impact than chopping down 50 trees there. It's like this thing called ecosystems. I don't know if you've come across them. And in
You
some
don't have to be
places,
so paternalistic. I'm not a child.
Well, mate, do you want to have a look at how you've been questioning our people today? The
Simple question.
The ecosystem in one area is different to the ecosystem in another area, and these are the issues that are taken into account. And this is the same system that your government presided over and failed to reform.
Okay, well, can I ask the official then, Minister, if I cut down 50 trees, do I have to build 50 new trees?
So,
Plant 50 new trees.
What are you going to build them out of?
We will walk you through, Senator, the standards that we're consulting on. We will walk you through the standards that we're consulting on and the requirements that will be in place. And then I might get Mr Wentworth to talk you through whether or not it needs to be 50 new trees, or whether it could be a conservation covenant on a number of trees that already exist, or the options to plant new trees or to improve the habitat somewhere else. There are a range of options that proponents may choose to acquit their obligations.
We can, as the Shadow Minister, we'd be very happy to arrange a briefing for you on how the EPBC Act works.
Okay, well, I'd be issued with crayons and texts, so I can...
No, I don't think it would require that. It might just require you turning up with an open mind.
Okay.
We've done it once, we're happy to do it again, Senator.
Viewers, when a nation cannot build enough homes, the failure does not stay inside Parliament. It enters rent, mortgages, delayed families, overcrowded houses, broken confidence and public trust. But I want to ask you, who do you believe is benefiting from a system where building homes becomes increasingly difficult, expensive, delayed and restricted for ordinary Australians? And do you believe Australia still has the will to reverse it before an entire generation gives up on ownership altogether? I'm Dr. J.W. Ayub, theologist. Like and subscribe to encourage me, comment to educate me, and share the video to help somebody else.